write those down. Thank you. So, ladies, if you are memorizing your memory verses, I encourage you to keep doing that. And even if you aren't memorizing your memory verses, I encourage you to kind of have an idea of what these are and what we've been studying. One of the things that it's been doing for me is to help me remember where these stories are and what we've been studying in this class. And to go back and to put this into a big picture, the big picture of what we're trying to learn, and learning to rejoice through the struggles, and learning to be able to thank God no matter what hits us. And our last few verses that we've had are Matthew, where the disciples were perishing, and God says, I'll save you. Just have faith. And then it was Isaiah, trust my word. And in Hebrews and James, those two I wanted us to look at, because God says, I will reward you. I will bless you. Not for just knowing my word, but for drawing close to me, for seeking me, for doing what my word says. And I wanted us to have that confidence to know that God says, I will bless you for that. When you look at my word, you study my word, and then you go and do it, I'll bless you for that. And our last memory verse that we had last week in Joshua was where we saw that after God finally took them into the promised land, and they fought through all those nations, that God says, this is what your reward is. And it was all the plunder from all those cities. And I think it's hard for me to wrap my brain around how much reward that was. That was a magnificent reward. And what I want us to do is to take these stories that we have in the Old Testament, these historical accounts, and to see that they're not just stories of what happened, that somehow they apply to us. And what this shows us is it shows us who God is. That this is not going to be our story exactly. God is not going to bless us the way he blessed people all along. But God never changes. And I want us to have that confidence and that absolutely knowing that when God says, I'll reward you, if you seek me, I will bless you, that his blessings are incredible. They are absolutely incredible. And they may not be the same as he blessed his people before, but they will be incredible. And this week the memory verse is in Philippians. And that God says, not only will I bless you and reward you for when you draw near to me, but I will take care of every need of yours. That you can come to me in confidence and know that it's going to be me who gives you what you need. It's not going to be yourself, it's going to be me. And every time I try to move past onto a new lesson from this story, I just can't. There's so much in this story that it just keeps drawing me back to it. There's things that have not been opened up that just keep me there. And because I'm the teacher, you guys get to be kept there. Because this is so powerful. And so we're gonna go back to that and pull some of these things out. That we've read these verses before in Exodus. Turn to Exodus 23. When God very first was pulling them out of Egypt, he told them in Exodus 23:20, he says, behold, I send an angel before you to guard you on the way and bring you to the place I have prepared. He tells them, we're going somewhere that I already have prepared. And then we saw in Numbers 13 and 14, when they went and spied out the land, they said, yes, it is a good land. It's flowing with milk and honey, and it's exceedingly good. But then we see the dark side, right? When they went in, the 10 of the spies, they said, yeah, it's good. However, the people are strong, the cities are fortified, they're large, and besides, the descendants of Anak are there. God had something amazing for them. He had an abundance for them that was incredible. It was exceedingly good. And And yet, he made his people go through and see that fear. He made them stand face to face with the giants. You know, he could have wiped all those giants out. He could have made it to where they went in and they didn't have to face those fortified cities. He could have made it, you know, he knocked down the walls. He can do that. He could have knocked them down so they didn't have to go in and see the walls that scared them and to know they're not going to get through those walls. He even told them in Exodus 23 there when he was bringing them out, he says, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to blot them out. All those nations, I'm going to blot them out. I'm going to send my terror before you. I'm going to make your enemies turn their backs to you. I'm going to send hornets before you. And I'm going to give the inhabitants into your hand. He told them, I'm going to do this for you. And sometimes in the way I think that God should care for us, in the way I think that his compassion should be shown to me, I think, well, let's just take care of that. Let's do that. Let's not have to face those terrifying things. Let's not have to see those giants. Let's not have to feel that fear where we're sure that we're going to die. But God always has a plan. God always has a plan and a reason why he does things. And we may not understand it. We may not ever know. But he does have a plan. And the reason he made them face all of those things when they went into that city was in Exodus 23:29. I'm going to read that. He says, starting in 28, I will send hornets before you, which will drive out the Hivites, the Canaanites, and the Hittites before you. I will not drive them out before you in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the wild beasts multiply against you. Little by little I will drive them out before you until you have increased and possessed the land. Isn't that amazing? You know, God knew he was going to take care of his people. He knew he could wipe out those people. He knew they weren't a problem. He knew those walls, those cities, nothing was a problem. And yet, he made his people go face them. And in that facing them, in that facing those things that they could not take care of, he wanted them to know, I'm going to be right there with you. Yes, they're going to be scary. Yes, it's going to be battles that need to be fought. But I'm right here with you. I don't go before you and clear the way. There's going to be struggles in our lives, storms, battles, whatever you want to call them. They're going to be fierce, and they're going to be hard, and they're going to be terrifying. But God says, I'm going to be right there with you. I'm going to hold you right there, and I'm going to take care of it. I am absolutely going to take care of it, and I'll be with you right through them. He makes us live. I kind of just think he makes us live life. We're here on earth, and it's life. And that's how he's always done with his people. He's never just plucked them out of life. But he says in that life, in those hurts, in those struggles, even in the joys, he says, I'm right there with you. I'm going to be there with you. And one of the things that I have us memorizing these memory verses for, or at least remembering at least the idea of them, in Isaiah when he says, I want you to trust my word. I think this is my next slide. That in that he says, you know, my ways are not your ways, but everything I do is for a purpose. When I send the rain, it's for a purpose. When I send my word out, it's for a purpose, and it will accomplish what I want it to. And knowing and having that confidence that even if we don't see it, and even if we don't know why we're having to go through it, that there's a purpose for it, and that God cares for us, and it's going to happen the way God wants it to.
How many times we tell that to our children? I need you to do that, and they're like, why do I gotta do that, Mom?
It's just on such a small scale that parents can see that. You know, when they went in, when they went into that land, they said these things are there. They said, let me go back. They said the cities are strong, the people are strong, and then they said, and besides. What did they say? And besides, the descendants of Anak are there. That word besides really carries a meaning of emphasis. In one of the translations, in the New American Standard, it's translated as moreover. And I think about how I use that term. I'll say some things why I want to do something or don't, and I say, and besides. Well, the besides is really the reason. That's the emphasis. That is it. I get the feeling reading this that even if the Hivites and all the Jebusites, all those people weren't there, they would have been terrified if the descendants of Anak weren't there. Those people were terrifying. They were absolutely terrifying. This is what their biggest fear was when they were going in. And I think of, what are we most afraid of? What is the thing that terrifies me the most? Because this was very terrifying to them. And yet, we see the story. After God had taken them in, and they took Jericho, they took Ai, and they took all those other cities. Then you know where they went? They went up into the hill country. And you know who lives in the hill country? The Anakim. He says, they went up in Joshua 11:12. They cut off the Anakim from the hill country, from Hebron, from Debir, from Anab, and from all the country of Judah. There was none of the Anakim left in the land of the people of Israel. Can you just feel, I just feel like there should be some huge crescendo music. This is huge. This is huge. This was the thing that was terrifying to those people. This was the thing that caused a whole nation to not get the blessing that God wanted them because of their fear. And in the end, what did God say? I took care of that fear. I absolutely took care of that fear. And it's so powerful to me. It says in Joshua 11, let's just turn there. And I can cheat, so I'm there quick. Joshua 11, 20. And it says, there was none of the Anakim left in the land of the people of Israel. Only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ashdod did some remain. And we know who the most famous Anakim from Gath is. Goliath. And we know that story. And in that story of Goliath, we have one Anakim, one descendant of Anak. And just from reading this and looking at different things, it seems like over the years, the people who were in the time when they went in there were bigger people. And I don't know that for sure, but these people could have been way bigger than even Goliath was. But in the time of Goliath, you have one man from Anak, one. And he stood on one side, and the whole nation of Israel stood on the other. Even the king of Israel, stood on the other, and they were terrified of one man, one Anak. And they were terrified to go against him. And here we have, in this story, hundreds of years earlier, we had two men standing against a whole nation of Anakim. And they said, we can take them. We can take them because of who our God is. And the other story of Goliath, the whole nation said, we can't take them because we're not strong enough. And this is powerful, that God said, I'll take care of it. And I keep going back to this story, and I keep going back to this story, and I keep going back to it, because they're terrifying things in our lives. We all face terrifying things. We all face things that are hard, that are struggles. And these are the things that cause us to turn away from God and to not be able to trust Him, and to wonder if He can really take care of this. And God says, I can absolutely take care of it. I'll take the thing that scared you the most, that caused you to fall away and turn against me, and I'll take care of it. And we can see the big picture in this story. but we a lot of times can't in our lives. And I want us to hold to that whether, however God works it out in our lives, however it is, he's going to give us what we need. Whatever it is, it's not going to be the same blessings. It's not going to be the same way that he takes care of our fears, but he's going to take care of us. And if we can hold tight to that, and we can have that confidence to know he's always taking care of his people, and he's not going to stop taking care of us now, then we're more likely to follow his word, to do those things that are hard, to follow that path when we're scared. And this week, that's the next verse. I want to say this, but I just don't know how I'm going to do it. But I had some roommates in college that were phenomenal roommates, and just the whole story of how they were my roommates is phenomenal, and it's God. It's absolutely God in the way he connected us and answered prayers and those connections. But two of my roommates, they're twins, and their mom was a very godly woman, and I didn't know her very close, but very godly woman. And she wrote this poem. She says, "From the awesome height of a 727, I looked down on two landmarks. One my point at," here, you read it. Stand up here.
Okay. One my point of beginning, the other my destination. But between the two you've put a mountain range that must be conquered. On the ground the way seems so far, the path so treacherous. But from the air I see the mountain flatten out and the road shorten. My beginning, my destination, not far apart. And it remains me, God, of your abomination to me, to fly through life on the wings of an angel. On the ground I grow discouraged. I cannot see the end of my misery. The way seems hard, the path seems long, the end seems so far away. But when I fly like an eagle, I look down on life and its problems and see the mountain obstacles that keep me from my destination. And my faith knows that you will flatten those mountains and shorten that path. My beginning, my destination, thanks to my God, not far apart. Oh God, I fly over your glorious Colorado today and saw from a new angle the wonder of your marvelous creation. To think how small a mountain looks from that height, but now wonderfully detailed it is when on its side. I marvel to think of the wisdom displayed in the minute flower on the hillside, and am overwhelmed by its immenseness of the land I see from up above. And oh God gave me this lovely mountain land to remind me of how small I am and how great you are. For your goodness I praise you, oh God, my heavenly Father. Glenda Stamper.
Thank you. So the twins, Kara and Renee, we're still connected, call me every day on my birthday, and we're talking about how old I'm getting. I'm almost 50, and they're like, 50 is a big birthday because Glenda lost her battle with cancer a few months after her 50th birthday. She was a godly woman. She left an incredible legacy, incredible godly kids, but she knew God was taking care of her. And the faith and the strength, and God has given the girls everything they've needed. And that, as I was doing this lesson and talking to the girls, it was amazing. Just the thing that I'm, God tells us. It's not how we always want it. We all live a short time on this earth, and we're all going to go. And the things that we want sometimes don't happen. But God is always there with us. And the blessings are there, even in the ways that maybe we wouldn't want them or that we should think they should be. But they're always going to be there. And as doing that lesson, talking to them, I'm reminded of that how powerful those blessings are. And even though I met these girls when we were traveling abroad, and when We came back, their mom was pretty much already in the hospital. I think she was home a day or two. So I never knew her, but she's had an impact on my life, a very strong impact just from the stories I've heard from her, and that she left 2 godly girls who have had an impact on so many people. And those are blessings. Those are strong blessings. And I wanted to share that with you guys. I kept thinking, I don't want to share it. I probably won't get through it, whatever. But I wanted to share it because I don't want us to ever get in our mind that these rewards and blessings are somehow this perfect little world, the way the world lives in it. We're going to have the perfect job, the perfect house, the perfect relationships, the perfect health. That's not the blessings that God tells us. God, I want us to understand who God is and what a merciful and faithful God He is, and how He says, I will bless you. And we have to know that whatever it is, if it's a blessing from God, it's going to be good. And that's what I want us to hold to. And I want us to hold to that from this memory verse, that God will supply every need of ours. And sometimes I go to God just like a kid, I need this. And God says, what you need, like a kid will tell his parent, I need to go play somewhere. What you need is to go to bed. Exactly the opposite of what we want. And yet God cares. God cares deeply, and God cares at a level that is totally different than this world. Sometimes we live in this world with the things, and yet to hold on to the truth that if we need it, God will give it to us. And if we don't get it, then we don't need it. And we can still trust that God is right there with us when we are scared and when we are facing whatever that fear is. And I just want to tell you, because this is wonderful too, that, let's see if I can get back to my memory verses at the beginning. Right here. So remember how we're remembering these last few verses. We're not going back to the other ones. You're on your own for those. But this, Matthew, we're starting over. These are my verses. They're my verses. And then Hebrews, James. And then it's 2 J's, JJ. So when you think of JJ, what do you think of? You think of Josephine J. and J. Baldwin. And then what do you think of? You think of a yellow plane, a piper. So it's JJP. And it reminds us to pray. Pray for, Sandy needs our prayers. So many people need our prayers. So when you're remembering James and Joshua and Hebrews, that God can take care of us and He blesses us. It reminds us to, in that blessing, pray for our friends and our sisters. I hope you guys have a great week, and we'll see you guys at the lectureship. And we won't have a class next week, so I think they'll be having one in there.